So it's a documentary. It's not per se an interview.
Right.
So I'll be interviewing you and a few other people.
Okay.
And I haven't decided if I'm gonna like do a YouTube series on just you, or if I'm gonna combine them. Right now, what I'm thinking is I'm gonna do a series on just you, or not a series, an episode on just you.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the next episode will be just on the
A
next
different
person.
psychic or,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
that sounds good.
But like I said, this is our first time at this, so we
Okay.
don't really quite know what's going
Sure.
on. I just wanted to kind of like get your story.
Okay.
How you come to be,
Okay.
your experience and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Okay.
I read on your, I think it's your website for this place,
Mhm.
that you went through some depression.
Right, I have had suffered from depression off and on, I would say since high school, and then in my late 30s. And actually what had happened was I went to see an astrologer, and she told me I was going to go through this 2-year emotional roller coaster. And of course, at the time, I'm thinking, oh, great, just get through the next couple of years and everything will be back to normal. And it ended up not being quite so simple. I ended up really depressed. I did go get some medical help. And then shortly after that, I was living in Wisconsin at the time, and I was at the farmer's market in Madison on Saturday. And I ran into a woman who was a student at a metaphysical school where they teach you how to listen to your intuition. I had no idea what intuition was. But I thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting, and the price was right, and I want to go check it out. So I took the class, and then after a few months, it started feeling like their unwritten philosophy was we teach you how to listen to your intuition, but if your intuition disagrees with us, you're wrong. And I'll be honest, it felt a little cultish. So I said goodbye, and I started following my intuition to workshops with different people, and I found a woman who lived not too far away from me who had been a student of Sine Roman and Dwayne Packer, who channel Orin into Ben, and they've written, I think, about half a dozen books, like Opening to Channel and Creating Money are probably their most popular ones, or the ones a lot of people know about. And I took classes from her, and during this very advanced meditation class called Awakening Your Light Body, everything blew open. My intuition blew open. I started channeling a group of spirit guides, and it just kind of evolved from there. And then while I had been taking the class, I had quit working for the state of Wisconsin. And so I'd been, I think, out of work for 9 or 10 months, and I was over in Germany, and I was thinking, and I'd taken my retirement fund out, and I thought, you know, I'm starting to kind of run out of money, and you know, you got to make a living somehow. So I'd been hearing, do what you love and the money will follow, and I thought, well, and at that time I also was a Reiki practitioner, which is a form of hands-on healing. I thought, you know, I'm going to open an office, I'm going to do channeling and Reiki, and I did. I opened an office on the Capitol Square in Madison, and everything has evolved and grown from there. I started out doing Reiki and channeling, and then actually what I did, I would do, this is kind of funny, and I want to say spirit guides never really leave us. We are never without spirit guides, but I had been doing psychic readings for about a year, I think, and I'd get halfway into a psychic reading, I'd get stumped, and I'd say, do you mind if I channel? And they'd be like, sure, go right ahead. So after about a year and a half of this, I remember I was at work, I had gone back to work for the state of Wisconsin as a temp, and I was on my lunch hour, and my spirit guide said, okay, we're going to leave, and you need to do this for yourself. And I'm like, oh no, I mean, you talk about feeling like hung out to dry or something, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But like I said, we never are without spirit guides. So, and it basically forced me to really develop my psychic ability at that time, because I didn't have that crutch to fall back on. So, and then everything just kind of grew from there. I learned how to do passive regressions. I learned hypnosis. I added some other healing modalities. And then in 2002, I added an aura camera. So the bulk of my business right now is the psychic readings and the aura photography. So that's kind of the story of my life. That part of my life, anyway. So.
What's an aura camera?
An aura camera is a camera that takes a picture of the electromagnetic field around your body. I didn't bring any with me.
Oh, auras. No, I've heard of that. It's like, is it supposed to be different colors, or is it?
Yeah, they're different colors, and they usually correlate. Are you familiar with the chakra system?
I've heard of that,
okay.
yeah.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's an energy system in the body, so the colors usually correlate. There are 7 chakra points. basically they connect our physical body to our aura, and they're located kind of up the spine. So the root chakra, the first chakra, is at the base of the spine, and then the base, the abdomen, the stomach, heart, throat, third eye or sixth chakra, and then the crown chakra. And the colors correlate to the colors of the chakras too. So somebody with a lot of red in their aura, that's the color of the root chakra, the first chakra. They're going to be maybe more physical, more material oriented, and I don't mean necessarily materialistic, but just, they might be, going to school, working on, getting a career going, that kind of thing. And, crown chakra is purple. Somebody with a lot of purple is going to be very independent, and maybe a bit more connected to divine source. So that's, and the camera takes a picture of that. So.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
What would be the worst color if you took a picture?
There's really not any. Those are colors that we put subjective, good or bad on, and there's really no good or bad. It just tells you where you're at in the moment. I have seen people with maybe some brown, which could be, maybe they've been not well recently, feeling a little under the weather, maybe even depressed, but I mean, that just says, okay, this is where I'm at right now, so there's things that I can do to, maybe change that. I have seen some people with a lot of gray, and again, that they just may need to do, some meditation to cleanse the aura or whatever, so. But there's no good or bad with that.
You said you took a class and then everything clicked, and you found
Everything
your
blew
guardian
open,
stuff.
yeah.
What
Right.
happened? Like what blew open? Like what?
Well, my intuition, and then like I said, I started channeling a group of spirit guides, and actually our teacher had one of the class sessions was specifically on channeling guides. And do you understand what I mean by channeling? Okay, so basically with channeling, and what I did was, I don't know if I would call it trance channeling, but basically I was very conscious, but I would go into kind of a meditative state, and I would just kind of say, get out of the way and allow a spirit guide to come in and speak through me, okay?
So
But
they would physically speak through you?
Right. So I was aware of them. I also was aware of what they were saying. And I did actually get rid of one guide, because everything, and this was back in the early 90s, everything was gloom and doom, stuff that was coming up. It's like, I don't want to be telling people that, I want my readings to be uplifting. So basically just allowing, and you know what spirit guides are? No? Okay. Oh, I love you. I love you.
I love this kind of stuff.
Okay,
but
great.
I'm ignorant in that.
Well, spirit guide, you know what angels are, right? They are spirits or spiritual beings that have never had an incarnation. They are never born, live a lifetime, and then die. But you'll hear stories about, somebody's car breaks down in the middle of the boondocks at 3 a.m, and somebody shows up and gets them help and all this stuff, and then they go back later to thank the person, and nobody has a clue what they're talking about. So those are angels. Spirit guides, what I have found over the course of doing readings and stuff, spirit guides are souls that we knew maybe in previous lifetimes. They may have been a teacher of ours, a parent or whatever, who has chosen to stay in spirit this time rather than incarnating, as a way and then they help us from the other side as a way to help. And that's one way that a soul can grow, okay?
Uh-huh.
Like we choose to incarnate. I'm getting into reincarnation too, because I am a big fan of it, proponent. It's not even like I believe in it. It's like, to me, it's reality. But
Go for it, because I've got lots of questions.
okay,
so.
great, good, okay. So reincarnation, basically, we choose to come here. Our souls choose to incarnate on this planet, and I hate to say it, but to me, the Earth, I call it the ghetto of the universe, because it is the hardest plane or planet for a soul to incarnate on, to learn and grow and heal or whatever they need.
What's the best planet?
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know if I could even put a name to it, or if we even know a name to it. But there are a lot of higher planes and dimensions where, okay. So where am I going with this? Okay, so we choose, and then we will choose maybe a certain, something that we want to work on. We will choose souls to be our parents, to be maybe our best friends, to be our siblings, so that we can learn certain things. And a soul will choose, maybe they will choose a handicap or a learning disability, or maybe not to have a real functional body, and there can be a lot of reasons for that. It can be maybe just having a body that isn't, that needs help, so maybe they can experience really being loved, or and I don't know, I don't even know where to go with this. So, so ask me another question.
So I guess, like, Helen Keller, like, that spirit really wanted to play on hard mode.
Yeah, it could be, and then also by her taking on those 2 handicaps, or I guess maybe 3, I suppose, she really reached a lot of people. I mean, she really inspired a lot of people, not only in her own lifetime, but say down through the ages after she passed too.
She actually learned how to speak.
Huh?
Well, communicate, yeah.
Right, yeah. So, and so, I mean, just even knowing about Helen Keller and what she went through, that could be a real inspiration to somebody,
Well, you were saying before, though, that souls choose people.
Mhm.
Like, this is going to be my family. This is.
Right.
I read a story once, I don't think it was that long ago, a little boy was convinced that he was a World War II fighter
Soul
pilot.
survivor.
Is it a book or movie or
Yeah,
something?
it is. No, it is a book, and it was written by his father. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was a Navy pilot, and then his father actually.
They took him to where they thought the plane went down.
Yeah, they investigated the whole thing, and they wrote a book about it. And yeah, that is a fascinating book, and that's one I really recommend to a lot of people. So.
I do know that story. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
remember when that was though. I think in the late 90s.
I think so. Yeah, because I think he's a teenager or something now, isn't he?
So what's the deal with that then? Like, if that little boy is remembering something like he couldn't possibly know, right?
What do you mean? What's the deal with
Like,
that?
so would that be a reincarnation there?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And to me, that book, and especially if you read the book, to me that's like proof of reincarnation, because I mean, the dad actually, I mean, he researched the whole thing. He actually found out there was a man on that, there was a fighter pilot with that name, and the kid remembered names of his crew members.
I remember he actually had 2 dolls that he named.
Right.
People in his squadron or something like that.
Right, and the dad tracked these people down, actually took him to a reunion of the surviving members. He actually met his sister from that lifetime. And she said she remembered she was getting the house ready for her brother coming home, and then her brother actually came to her when he died, and she knew he was gone. So, yeah, that is a really fascinating book. Kind of blows your mind, doesn't it?
It
It just
does.
really opens.
That's also been kind of one of my biggest fears, like, because I don't know a lot about it, so if I saw a relative that had just died, I'd probably poop.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, and probably you wouldn't until you maybe started, not necessarily believing, but just because you have that, I don't know what I call it, that fear, that wall, or that whatever, you probably wouldn't have that experience. Although I would imagine somebody might come to you in a dream.
I've had that happen twice.
Okay, so.
It was about a week after they both died. They both
Mhm.
come to me. One of them said they're going to be okay, and the other one, he just said he had to go.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But that was in the first one, the guy, that was in
Mhm.
1994, and I still remember that like that was yesterday.
Right.
But it seems like there's always little stuff like that happen. When my great-grandpa died, he was hit by a semi, or actually he drove underneath a semi.
Oh, no.
And he used to work on the railroad.
Mhm.
And for about a month after that, when my dad would go to work, the train tracks near where we live. We live in the middle of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
And there's just the one light.
Right.
And as long as he come up to it, it would go off. And then he
Mhm.
went over it, and it stopped.
Mhm.
And it was never a train. And he was convinced that was his way of saying goodbye. And that lasted for about a
Yeah.
month.
Could, probably was, or could very well be, yeah.
Like, stuff like that, I'd be okay
Yeah.
with, but if
Uh-huh.
like, if I'm like sitting in the front room and someone walks around the corner, I'm out.
I gotcha, yeah. That would probably, that might spook me a little bit too.
I don't know why, I'm so afraid of seeing something I never had.
Yeah,
And I did
yeah.
ghost hunting in high school. And it scared me, I did one ghost hunt particularly that scared me so
Mhm.
bad. I used to have, I don't know if you'd call it a gift or what, but when I was little, I used to be so afraid of storms that I eventually developed, I don't know what you call it, I could look at a cloud and see like electrical particles.
Oh, wow, wow,
And I was like
okay.
a dumb superpower, but,
Mhm.
because eventually you're gonna see
No,
electrical.
I don't think any of this stuff is dumb, believe me.
But I could look at a cloud and I could see, that's just how I explained it, I could see particles shooting back and
Mhm.
forth and no one else
Wow.
would. And then after I did this ghost hunt, that it all stopped. I guess because I found a new fear.
Could be, yeah, yeah, so, or kind of shut things down for you.
You said that you can channel your guardians?
Spirit guides, right, uh-huh.
And they physically speak through you?
Right,
In a
yeah.
sense?
Right, right.
Is that something you could do now?
Probably not. Because I've developed the psychic side so far that, you know, I'm hearing that's over and done with, so, yeah, unfortunately, but, yeah.
Have you ever physically seen anything, like since you started with your meditation and stuff like that? Like has it opened up, like I hear stuff about the third eye.
Right, and, yeah, and it's, like I'm basically what's known as clairsentient, which means I sense or I get a feeling about a situation or person. Empathy, like I would actually, and I have learned to really I've worked really hard the last few years on setting psychic boundaries so that I'm not taking on everybody's stuff, you know. But, repeat your question.
Have you ever seen anything, is
Have
what
you
you said?
physically ever seen anything?
Yes, so as I developed the clairsentience, the clairvoyance, which is the seeing, and the clairaudience, which is the hearing, both of those developed as well. So yeah, I do see things, trying to think, I was thinking about something the other day that I saw, and let me think, okay, some examples of seeing things. Like I feel like I will feel, like say somebody who's crossed over, I will feel them around me. And I'll tell you a funny little story about that, and kind of funny, but a friend of mine called me up like 7 o'clock one morning and said that her brother had committed suicide. And I was like, well, let me get a shower and I'll call you back and I'll talk to you. Or I talked to her a little bit, and then so I talked to her for a while, and then I went and got in the shower, and her darn brother was in the shower with me. And I said, dude, you need to get out of here. I will call your sister back and talk to her for you, but no, you need to go wait in the other room. Okay, I'm not, so anyway, and I have a couple times had people show up in the shower with me, and then I just tell them, get out of here. It doesn't happen often. I mean, I think it's happened twice, that, and I don't remember what the other incident was, but why can't I think of like things that I've seen? I mean, I will see things in readings for people. Oh, I'm just drawing but I see things a lot now.
See it as in picture it, or see it as in like it's here? What do you mean?
Like I would say picture like it'll pop into my head, or you know, pop into my mind or whatever. I did have an incident because my last lifetime was during World War II in Germany, and I did have an incident about, this is going way back, early 90s. I was working at the University of Wisconsin. I think I was taking the bus to work for some reason. Probably didn't want to park on campus, but so I was walking down to the bus stop, and there was this big soccer field over here, and it's kind of like some veil lifted, and it was like I was back in the 1930s, and it was a German army parade ground. I could hear people actually speaking in German and stuff, and I'm trying to think other like visions that I've had recently. that is just really weird. I can't think of any. It's like they're right on the, kind of right on the tip here. Yeah.
Do you feel like something's blocking you on purpose?
I was just starting to wonder, am I not supposed to share this? Okay, I'm kind of getting a yes with that. And I mean, I don't want to share anybody's readings, but I'm trying to think. Okay, so a vision, and this is from years ago. Maybe it wasn't necessarily a vision, but a knowingness. So I'm driving to work. I had my tea sitting up on the dashboard, and I went to reach for the cup, and I had this vision of tipping it right into my lap, and I did. And it's like, you know how you'll know, and I don't know if you ever had that happen, it's like you know something's going to happen, and you have no time to, like, do something about it, you know? So that was, and then I had that happen a couple weeks ago. I was driving on Church Lane in East St. Louis, and it's like, I see the pothole, I register that there's no cars over here, and I can move over, and boom, you know, just in that, like, split nanosecond or whatever, it's, you know.
Zigged when you should have zagged.
Yeah. It's like, you get all the information, you can't, like, yeah, that is really strange. I haven't had that happen before, so anyway. So what else would you like to know?
So you said your last life was
Germany.
World War II era Germany.
In Germany, yeah.
Whenever the veil lifted up and you were there, is that when you realized you had a past life, or did you?
Well, I had
realize
been
some
doing a
other-
lot of work on that past life. I would say when I first got onto, if you want to call it my conscious spiritual path, about 75% of the healing work I did on myself was past lives. Both that one, and I have other past lives that I've done had to do a lot of healing around. And I think that was one of my purposes for coming back this time, was to do that healing and get that reconnection to divine source.
So tell me about you in 1945.
Oh, I was dead. I was dead by 45. No, I passed away. I would say I was killed in the winter of 44. I guess I would be 44, 45. In Belgium, and I was chased up to a third floor by two British soldiers, was stabbed and pushed out of a third-story window.
They stabbed you and pushed you out of the window?
Mm-hmm. And I was born with a horrible fear of height. And my mother thought it was,
I have that.
Yeah, and my mother thought it was absolutely wonderful because I never climbed around on cabinets like most little kids do. Until I was 8 years old, and we went up in the Capitol building in Wisconsin. And the very top, there's I guess it goes up into that spike or whatever that's at the top. There's like a spiral staircase, and it's one of those black metal ones where you can look down through it.
Yeah.
I was crying. I got up, I can get up okay, but getting down is a real issue. So I slid down on my butt, crying the whole way down, and my mom she said she was so embarrassed, and I'm like, well, excuse me, but you know. So yeah.
I have no problem going up or down.
Oh, really?
Like I can get probably at the top of that Christmas tree, and then I need a fire department.
I'm about the same way, so, yeah. So, and that's one of the things about doing past life regression, is you can go back and bring that up to the conscious level to release it and heal it. You know, another really good book is Dr. Brian Wise's first book, Many Lives, Many Masters. He was I believe a Harvard-educated psychiatrist, and he had learned hypnosis. He's one of the forerunners of past life regression work, and he's one that really brought it out into the public consciousness. But he had learned hypnosis, and he had this patient come who was terrified of everything. It's like she was terrified crossing a street. The only place she could sleep in her house was a walk-in closet with the light on for like 4 or 5 hours. And he was getting like every week it was like a little result. And it was like, and finally he was kind of getting a little exasperated because he didn't seem to be getting any place with her. So finally he asked her, he told her, well, go back to where this problem first started. And the next thing he knows, he's talking like a 14-year-old girl in ancient Egypt. And it totally blew him away. But then he started doing more of this, and so his book is really good. And then she had then every week after that, it was like major changes, you know. And whereas before it had been like just a little bit, and then all of a sudden it was like, you know, huge, big breakthroughs doing that with her. So, yeah.
So is this basically something that anybody can learn if they put their mind to it, or either have
The
it or
psychic
don't?
stuff?
Right. Like,
I would say.
love to know if I had a past life.
Oh, okay. So, well, I would say as far as the psychic ability goes, we all are born with intuition, okay? Some of us are born into families that recognize it and help us develop it, and others are born into families where, you know, I was born into a very German Irish Catholic family in the 50s and 60s, and you know, and plus there was very little of this around then. Like, I think people nowadays are so lucky because, I mean, it's in the mass media, it's all over the place. So, yeah, I feel that anybody can develop their intuition, and it may grow to me, psychic ability is just developing your intuition to where, and it's basically, to me, developing your five senses, because the five types of psychic ability all correlate to the senses. Now, not everybody may get to the point of being able to do readings, you know, for people. A lot of people may not want to do that, but it can definitely help your life run a lot more smoothly. You know, it's like when you kind of get that funny feeling about a person, maybe somebody you're thinking about going to work for, or maybe, you know, a young woman who's, you know, she's met this guy, she kind of gets this funny feeling, and, you know, you can listen to that, and you can kind of mentally take a step back and just, you know, I'm just going to kind of watch and observe and see what this feeling is all about, you know.
I actually used to work for Walmart, used to catch shoplifters, and for a long time, I don't know if it's just because I get good at my job or what, but I could just pick a certain person and be like, this guy's gonna do it, or this girl's gonna do it. And I'd follow them around, and almost every time they would do it.
And that, I'm gonna say that was your intuition, like you just.
And then I also did some work for the local police department. I was an auxiliary police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And between doing that and catching shoplifters, it got to the point where I just only saw the bad in people.
Right.
And then
right.
after a while, I realized that,
Mm-hmm.
And I basically stopped doing both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to go to college to go to nursing school, because I felt like I needed to try to reverse that, because
Yeah.
I was there after Katrina had happened, Hurricane Katrina,
Right.
with the Red Cross,
Mhm.
and I was doing good with that. And then it seemed like I was always mad after working for Walmart in the police department.
Oh, yeah. That
And,
would make sense, yeah.
And then after I started going to college to be a nurse, I realized that I really couldn't compete with these 17, 18-year-old girls who have been doing nursing stuff all throughout high school, getting ready
Mhm.
for college.
Mhm.
So then I kind of abandoned that, and now I'm just working in a factory. But I'm happier now. Like, I've kind of let it go, because
Yeah.
there really was a time where I would just, everybody was just
Mhm.
worthless to me. Just
Oh,
'cause-
right. Because that's all you saw,
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I never saw the good, it's always the bad.
Right, right. So you have to really, anybody in an occupation like that would have to really make strong efforts to, you know, I'm thinking like affirmations or doing meditations or whatever. So they do start seeing the good in things, or maybe doing some volunteering or something where they can, you know, start seeing the good in people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
It took me a while. I'd say it took me a good year.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, even after I quit the police department and shoplifting, I started working for a local hospital as a CNA.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, it's real hands-on, you gotta be compassionate, stuff like that, and I just,
Right.
I couldn't do it.
Oh.
And I remember one guy, he had some disease, like, you had to take care of him, you had to shave him, everything like that.
Right.
And it was the most awkward thing I ever had to do. I was trying to be gentle with him,
Yeah.
I finally just told the nurse I was working with, I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't be that
Wow.
compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I kind of abandoned that. I figured
Right.
I'd be a bad nurse.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe now you could do it, you know, because you've had enough of a break that, you know.
I'm happy where I'm at now, though.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that jobs like that are nice too, because you can just go, do your job and go home. And you're not like, you know, having to really deal with anybody, or, you know.
Plus, it's not really that hard. I don't have that many responsibilities anymore.
Yeah,
I don't really
yeah.
sweat that much unless it's 108 degrees in the factory like it was last night.
Oh, no.
You know, you can wear whatever you want, basically.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
Um,
Good.
you said you can do readings, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind, like, how do you do reading? Like, do you see something, or like, would you like look at my hand?
I was just
Well-
gonna ask that. I was like, do you touch people? Do you, like,
Well,
what
what
do you
I do, I normally start off and I'll ask to hold the person's hands, and while I'm doing that, I'm saying a silent prayer. What is my silent prayer? Just basically asking to be a clear and open channel, and that whatever they pay me is returned to them 1,000-fold. And then I'm grateful to be of service to them. And then I always ask people to bring a list of questions, problems, issues, concerns that they want some help with or some insight into. And there's 2 reasons for that. Just like the tarot reader uses cards to open the door, I use the question to open the door to access the information, and I also want to make sure I talk about what's important to people. And then usually what I'll do is, like, as I'm connecting hands with them, I'm also kind of tuning into them. And so I usually will start off with, this is what I'm picking up on you. This is, and a lot of it has to do maybe with their personality or, that type of thing. So, yeah, so that's how I do my readings.
Have you ever done the tarot card thing?
I have not tarot cards specifically, but I do have like different decks of cards at home that I use basically just for myself, like, just to pull a couple cards for the day and, maybe see what's going on. But I have always been, just strictly psychic. The channeling is what helped open me up. A lot of people use tarot cards because that helps open them up psychically, and then a lot of people, they'll start off maybe with cards or rune stones or some kind of divination tool like that.
What's a rune stone?
It's I knew I shouldn't have said it. It's like a Nordic alphabet, and they usually come on, sometimes they're carved into stones, or they even make them out of sometimes they make them out of wood tiles, but they're called sigils, S-I-G-I-L, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And, and each one has different meanings, so.
And you just pick one up out of a
Yeah, there's
bag or
a way, yeah, usually the reader will have you pick a certain number out of the bag and then from there, so. Yeah, but, I never really learned how to use, I did start I really started off with automatic writing, where I would just get out of the way. It's like maybe I would meditate for a while, and that's another form of channeling too, where you just kind of get out of the way and just maybe ask a question and then allow the answer to be written out.
Do you just like make scribbles until something happens? Like I've seen that on TV, like in movies and stuff. I don't know how much of this is like Hollywood to me and how much of it's real. That's kind of why I'm doing this, because you see the movies and
Just
stuff like
kind
that.
of sort things out,
Yeah, you
yeah.
make someone
I
mad
would
and they
say
kinda
the
curse on
one
you.
movie I have seen that, except for the Hollywood dramatic effects with how the people look, the one I would say is the closest to reality, if you will, would be Sixth Sense.
Okay.
And I know there's been some out more recently, but a lot of it is like Hollywood dramatic effects or whatever, And like I said, in that movie, the way the people looked, I normally don't see people coming in with, they died in a car accident, so it's like, whatever. But
Like you said that whenever your friend's brother died, he was in the shower with you. You said he killed himself, right?
Right.
Did he have like the wound in him when you
No,
saw him?
I didn't see anything. It's like I just felt his energy.
Well, you just knew he was
Yeah,
there.
right. So, and that's usually how it's like I just feel, and to explain what that is, if you've ever been, like maybe sitting in a chair someplace and you just feel like somebody's walked up behind you.
I've actually felt like that's someone's been here.
Really?
I feel like there's someone standing right here this whole time. I just
Oh.
haven't said anything.
Oh my God.
I don't know. It's like as soon as I sat down, you sat down, we started talking, and I could have sworn someone walked up and they've been there the whole time.
Male?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just like whenever someone's walk, you can kind of hear like the outline of them moving. That's
Right.
what moved up behind me, and it's been there the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
But stuff like that happens to me. Like at my ex-wife's house, anytime I walk up the stairs to my basement, I would take about 4 or 5 steps, and I'd always have to turn around and look because 'cause I always feel like there's someone behind me. And then I would shoot up the stairs, and
Uh-huh.
I'd turn around, and I'd always expect to see someone running up trying to eat me or whatever it is
Wow.
a demon would do.
Wow.
But it seems like every time I go upstairs, I
Mhm.
flip out a little bit because I know there's someone behind me.
Oh my gosh.
And I talked to a guy about this a few months ago.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know him or not. His name's Kevin Barrett? Kevin Braid?
Where is he from? Is he a reader? Is he a psychic? Or?
Yeah, he's from, I think McLeansboro, Illinois.
No, I haven't heard of him, huh?
He was part of that program the military had that the movie, The Maybe Stare Goats.
Oh, remote viewing?
I don't know.
Oh, okay,
I'm
yeah,
talking to
that.
him tomorrow.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I asked him these questions and stuff, and
Mhm.
I don't know if he thought I was just full of baloney or what, but I
Mhm.
couldn't get a whole lot out of him. I don't know if he's a busy guy or what, but
Right, right.
I don't know. But he said I should just try and talk to the thing. And I'm not really big on talking to stuff I can't see, just because I don't want to get attacked.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, if something, first of all, I don't feel like the person who came up behind you is malevolent, and I feel like I want to say it's a male, and do I want to say grandfather? Your dad is still living, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, I feel like it's someone who's passed away, and I feel like it's definitely somebody who knows you. And I'm also getting has been trying to communicate with you for a while, but you're always so busy. Okay, now I'm getting it's a spirit guide. But I'm getting protection with it. You're gonna start opening up more.
Like how?
You're just gonna start.
It's weird you say that, because I was about to say, before you close your eyes and you started getting into it, that
Mhm.
I've basically spent the last, I don't know how many years, putting walls up.
Mhm.
And then you said my grandfather passed away a couple of years ago. And for some reason, when I'm by myself, I can either get a whiff of him,
Mhm.
like you know how some old people just have that smell.
Yeah, I know.
Grandpa had a weird
Yeah.
smell about him.
Mhm.
And then whenever I get that whiff,
Mhm.
I can always hear him say my name, because he always called me Christian. And I don't know why, I don't know if I was intimidated by him or what, but anytime
Uh-huh.
he said Christian, I was always at full attention.
Oh, okay.
And it happened just the other day. I was in my
Uh-huh.
bedroom, and I heard him say Christian. Like, I didn't actually physically hear it, but in my
Yeah.
head,
Mhm.
I was thinking Grandpa was saying Christian. And then, just like 3 days ago, I went out to his grave, and I was
Mhm.
out there just looking around a little bit. So, I mean, it's weird that you say that.
Yeah, he's trying to get your attention.
What's he want, do you know?
He was kind of a stern taskmaster kind of person, wasn't he?
This is very freaky. Grandpa was, I have goosebumps.
He's very no nonsense.
Extremely.
Mhm.
He actually whipped me with a hammer once.
Oh no.
Not the metal hand. He held the metal and
Right.
Mm.
Oh.
and he was very. I almost. Well, go ahead. And then I'm just curious now because
Okay, so
that's
what do you,
incredible
okay, so
all
you've
by
been trying to get
itself.
hold of him, what do you wanna tell him? Okay, so, he said with that incident, he said I was really out of line, that was not okay for me to do that, and I'm really sorry. He just didn't take he's also saying, he did not have a lot of patience with little kids. Or maybe there was some age group in there that he did not have a lot of I don't know if it was real little kids or if it was maybe old, like grade school age kids or something. He just did not have patience. And he also says that was like a family pattern, you know, and but you're breaking that pattern, aren't you?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Do you have children? You don't have children yet.
I have to.
You have two. But you don't treat your kids that way.
I kind of think that I do, and I try not to. Sometimes I feel like I punish them when they don't deserve it.
Mhm.
and I don't really feel that until after the fact. So I'm really, I don't know, I kind of spoiled in
So
a
you're-
sense too.
Okay, so.
I see a lot of my grandpa in me when it comes to my kids,
Mhm.
and I'm afraid of that.
Okay. And what's coming in is, but it does feel to me like you are trying to break that pattern.
Well, the way my father is, yeah. I mean, I've definitely tried to
Mhm. Yeah.
step out of that whole thing.
And he says he's glad you are, and I'm getting for some reason I'm getting something about, is there somebody that you can work with to kind of help you? Your kids are older though, aren't they? They're not little kids anymore?
They're 2 and 3.
Oh, really? Oh,
They'll be 3 and 4 next month.
old souls. So maybe one of the things you could do is work with somebody, or maybe even take a class on child development so you kind of understand the different things that they're doing and what they're going through. Because I feel like you could and he is saying that too, that you could definitely break that pattern in the family, okay? Okay, let me see what else. What's your grandfather's first name?
The one that you think you're picking
Yeah.
up? He went by a few names.
Floyd, or was there a Floyd or a Lloyd in your family? Or anybody you knew named Floyd or Lloyd? No? What was the name most people knew him by?
His friends called him Cecil.
Okay.
We called him Basil. His actual name was William.
Okay, Cecil resonates more. And I get a good feeling with that name when he's called that. Okay, so. His friends are with him. His friends are all with him. He's really glad you're doing this. He finds this really fascinating.
Finds what fascinating?
This.
Talking.
Right, that you're doing this whole thing on psychics and you're learning more about it. And I do feel like your own psychic abilities are gonna start opening up more.
That's
Okay.
nice. It's always been something I've always wanted to do, because my
Yeah.
mom's side of the family, they're the ones with the ghost stories and
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. And my
Right.
dad's side of the family, they're more of the,
Down to earth, practical, don't believe in it, bunch of BS.
well, I wouldn't say they're the smartest people.
Yeah.
Like, they'll believe just about anything you tell them.
Oh, okay.
But no ghost stories, like nothing,
Gotcha,
nothing like
okay,
that.
gotcha. So, okay. We'll keep politics out of it. I was gonna say something, but we'll keep politics out of this, but,
Oh, my. Yeah, that's a fight on both ends of the spectrum by itself.
Right, right.
And I try to stay out of that just because
Yeah.
if you ever talk to my dad,
Mm-hmm.
he will watch the news and then he'll preach that based on nothing.
And let me guess, Fox News?
No, Channel 3.
Okay, I don't know I
Oh,
don't
it's
watch
local.
any of the news channel. Well, at least he's not watching Fox, so.
There's a website called isidewith.com. If
Uh-huh.
you don't know who you want to vote for president,
Mhm.
you answer like 30 or 40 questions, like how do you feel about abortion, gun control,
Right,
foreign
right,
policy, stuff
uh-huh.
like that. And then based off your 40 or 50 answers, it tells you
Who to vote for.
in order who you're
Yeah.
most likely to, who you're least likely.
Right.
And Dad's always been a diehard Democrat based on nothing other than he's a Democrat.
Mhm.
Well, I made him take this test during the Illinois primaries, and he was 89% Donald Trump.
I had that feeling. Yeah, that's very interesting.
And then he still went and voted for Hillary Clinton after that.
Yeah, well, she's kind of Republican light, so, interesting. God, it's fascinating times we live in, isn't it? So,
Scary.
yeah, that too, but, so what else would you like to know about me, or about psychics, or?
I don't know, ever since
Anything else?
you said my grandpa, the father,
You just shut down? You just,
I'm stuck there.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
this is the kind of stuff that I've always wanted to hear from someone.
mm-hmm,
Like, because, in high school and stuff, you think of psychic, you're
Mhm.
like, well, they're going to look at my driver's license when I'm not looking or something like that. And,
right, yeah.
I sensed someone that died a long time ago. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, of course, it's really weird that you peg a male, my grandfather, and him being stern. That's very specific.
Right, right.
I don't know, it kind of got to me.
Okay,
That kind of stuff's neat.
yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. That's why I'm doing this documentary.
Okay.
This is the kind of stuff that I just love. I eat it up.
Yeah.
Would you put like spirits and angels and ghosts all in the same thing?
Well, I would put them as, they're on the other side and we're here, but I would not put them all in the same category. So angels are very, if you want to call them very, well, they were created by God. They sit at the right hand of God or whatever. So they're very highly evolved. Spirit guides maybe are not quite that evolved yet. Ghosts usually are people who are deceased, or people who've crossed over. I prefer to say have transitioned or crossed over, and they are basically stuck on the earth plane. And I also feel like a lot of what we see as ghosts or hauntings, there could be, not necessarily that there are ghosts actually still there, but sometimes things, how do I want to put this? It's like things that are very intense, very emotionally intense can kind of get recorded in time there. And it can be kind of like a time loop that, so sometimes I think people are picking up on that, and not that there's maybe actually ghosts there. Does that make sense?
So if you see a ghost, you're not seeing something that's manifested right then. You're seeing like a replay of history that's happening.
It could be, or it
like
could be a
ripple in
replay of
time.
history.
That- I
Like what I
understand.
said with that, that soccer field, just, it's kind of like there was some curtain that parted or something shifted, and it was like I was back in time, and there's obviously nothing with World War II ever happened at UW-Madison, but, so, yeah, and it could be somebody that's transitioned and hasn't moved into the light, so.
You said that you think you died in the winter of '44 in
Mhm.
Belgium.
Mhm.
Did you ever happen to come up with a name or an age?
Yeah, I do have, actually, if this is accurate, I haven't really traced it or anything. I think my birth date was December 13, 1913. And I did get a last name in a dream one time of Mauksch, Mauksch. First name either Michaelis, Michael, whatever, the German name for Mike. It was either Michael, the German name for Michael, or the German name for Matthew.
Oh, so you're a man?
Right. So,
That's just
yeah.
fascinating. And I've just got some random questions.
Oh, sure, yeah.
What do you think about deja vu? I know that when I started reading about psychics and spiritualists and stuff like that, deja vu could be one of 100 different things from what I've read, but what do I know? And then from a medical standpoint, what I've read is deja vu is your left hemisphere is firing off before your right hemisphere. So you just think that whatever just happened actually is a replay, when in fact it's just your mind catching up to itself.
And that would make sense to me, and it also would make sense to me that, because they are explaining a lot of things with the mind, but I guess ask 100 different people, you'll get 100 different answers.
It's just one of those gray areas.
Yeah, but the thing about the mind, I had not heard that before, but that resonates for me, or that makes sense to me, that it could be that. And having said that, I will also say that they're, explaining a lot of spiritual experiences. Oh, it's just the mind, it's this happening in the mind or whatever. Granted, there's some of that, but I also think there really is a lot to the spiritual component, I know I had read something not too long ago about, they're saying, when you have that feeling of somebody behind you, There's something, it has something to do with the brain or the two hemispheres or some little thing in the middle, I don't know, but anyway. And that could be true, but it's like when I can sit here and describe your grandfather to you and you go, yeah, 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 that's, to me, that's true, you know? That's different than just something in the mind. And I think, okay, how would I want to put this? Because I've heard that like they can take you in a lab and they can like stimulate certain parts of the brain, and you can have like incredible spiritual experiences. And I guess that's true. I mean, I learned how to do that through meditation. And I don't even know where I'm going with this.
No, just go. I know you got 100 thoughts that are racing and they're trying to catch up and you're just
But
going.
to me, those spiritual experiences are so real and they're so, I don't know if I want to say it's a feeling thing to it. It's more than, it feels like so much more than just my mind, my brain playing tricks on me, you know?
Uh-huh.
And then I also want to talk a little bit about, because I've also done readings for people who are schizophrenic or bipolar with schizoaffective disorder. And one of the things that, that I have found, because people will come in and and their spirit guides are talking to them and, all this stuff. If it's a spirit guide, I feel an energy. I feel a presence. It's like I can feel them coming into the room. But if I don't feel that, and then I've had a couple people where I've had to stop and say, have you had a psych evaluation? And then they'll say, oh yeah, I'm like bipolar with schizoaffective disorder. Oh yeah, I'm schizophrenic or whatever. Well, I really think this is your illness, and they'll say, well, a friend of mine told me they thought that too, or my brother or whatever, and it's like, we usually don't want to listen to our brother or our friends or whatever, but,
Right.
And I don't even know why I got on that subject, but, yeah, so I guess I can stop. What else do you want to know today?
What are your thoughts on